There is no doubt a revolution underway in sustainable building materials. It's an amalgam of glass, steel, and new materials, all coming together for a specific purpose to create a more healthy and sustainable environment. But in Philadelphia, that movement walks hand in hand with a larger social movement, a reimagining of the city at every level, all to deliver a more healthy and sustainable life for its people.
We have a city that has this incredible development. You look out the window and you can see the cranes going up all over the city. Amazing development happening throughout our city.
Over the last 10 or 15 years, we've learned how to do big things. We've learned how to reimagine our parkway. We've learned how to turn a railroad, old industrial railroad, into an elevated park. We've learned how to open up our rivers.
There's a foundation here. And more than a foundation, there's a level of organization and infrastructure, I believe, that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Our community has done a lot of great work building momentum in the last 7 to 10 years. All around us, there are signs of growing prosperity and a developing sense that Philadelphia is on the verge of remaking itself after decades of decline.
This change is interesting. It's exciting. For St. Gobain, a 350-year-old company founded on innovative building materials, it's the chance to be a part of something unique, a growth story rooted in people and communities. The company knows a lot about leading-edge buildings and building materials, and they want to put that knowledge to use, not only in their new corporate headquarters, but in the community at large.
We call this building a living laboratory, which means that we're learning from the interaction of people, buildings, and the environment. But this is an office building, and things that happen in an office building are particular to that experience. What we want to do is take this into other environments. It's not that hard to then transfer that and say, well, where else can we apply this? Can we apply this to a hospital? Can we apply it to a school? Can we apply this to a community center?
It's the city of brotherly love. And at the center of the city is actually the word, love. Love Park, with its iconic sculpture, is an early focus of the Rebuild Initiative and a place where government and business are forging a long-term partnership with a long-term investment, grounded in the spirit of collaboration. It's the center of a story about how urban planning, building science, and community partnership can come together to create a space for the next generation of Philadelphians. A space that will be more livable, more enjoyable, greener, and more full of life.
Love Park, it was inspirational. That experience of leaving my neighborhood, going through the city on the way to high school, it was my first opportunity to really understand that the world is bigger than my neighborhood. So for me, the litmus here, what makes this project successful is whether or not we inspire people. And I think in order to inspire people, to truly inspire them to believe in themselves, to believe that their voice is important, all of the components of the park design and the architecture of the park all need to come together in a way that is seamless and perfectly executed so that there's a sense of beauty and a sense of cohesiveness within the design that allows them to kind of rise up with it. The user to rise up with it.
Mayor Kenney has an incredible vision for parks and public space in the city, and it's a big reason why I took this job. He has unveiled in his first 6 months in office a dramatic, sweeping opportunity for parks and recreation centers and libraries throughout the city. It's called the Rebuild Initiative, and it would be over a $500 million investment in these civic assets, parks and recreation centers and libraries over the next 6 years, which would essentially enable us to transform an entire city through the reimagining of these civic assets. You grow up in the city and you go to your local park, you go to your recreation center, and it's really an extension of your natural habitat as a Philadelphian. It's your front step, it's your front yard, and it's an extension of your living space. What I see over the next few years is a total transformation of these spaces, and a transformation that would happen in full partnership with partners in the nonprofit sector, but most importantly with the people and the citizens in those communities. Really encouraging them and empowering them to imagine what this civic asset could look like and how it can be relevant to them in their own lives.
So to create a space where the children feel safe, and now the parents come in behind them and other people come behind them, and you're literally rebuilding the community by giving them a place to gather that is safe and healthy and positive, and they want to be there because they feel good there.
You know, these ideas are taking shape and evolving, each one on its own, independent of each other, but still in the same environments. And if you look at the Di Silvestro Park, you start to get a feel for, well, that's a microcosm. That's a little ecosystem of itself that's developing in a more green, a more collaborative, and a more engaging way for that community.
When you add that partnership to the broader flow of projects evolving in communities across the city, you see the beginning of widespread social and economic growth, individual successes flowing together. Something is happening in the city of Philadelphia, and the more that's understood about how and why it's happening, the better citizens can engage and find ways to channel that power to other neighborhoods, and the more likely it is to transform this city of brotherly love by putting the power of progress directly in the hands of its people.
You want to share this experience of how do you design this environment that adapts to the people instead of the people adapting to the environment.
Communities are really ecosystems, swirling, changing environments where different individuals and organizations find ways to work together. So, in one area, there's a thriving team of people working on education reform. In another corner, there's a broad, fertile corridor of economic development. Each is helping 26% of the citizens of Philadelphia to pull themselves out of poverty, to enable these smart, motivated people to be meaningful contributors and owners in their local economy. This wave of empowered people is driving things forward, across the city, neighborhood by neighborhood, project by project.
And Philadelphia has been so successful in laying the groundwork for those kinds of things that it becomes sort of a great crucible for trying your alchemy to see what can occur. Bring your best science and your best people, and this is a place that you can put them together and try to create a habitat from that.
One great vision is unfolding in the University City section of West Philadelphia, just across the river from Center City, decades in the making.
The reimagined Philadelphia includes revitalized waterfronts, regional bike trails, vibrant urban neighborhoods with shops and cafes, and thriving tech centers. It takes a concerted and collaborative effort to revitalize a historic city like Philadelphia in a transformative way that preserves and conserves the richness of the region and its people. This is the philosophy behind Drexel's new Schuylkill Yards, a planned real estate development project on 10 acres abutting our campus that will be home to academic researchers, large companies, entrepreneurs, and investors. Schuylkill Yards is a model of sustainability unto itself. Our master plan includes design standards that address sustainable infrastructure. We'll be sensitive to building placement influenced by design and sustainability, not solely the maximum square footage allowed under the zoning and building codes. We're also going to include a significant amount of public realm space with tree canopy and park areas. Philadelphia is at the forefront of the green infrastructure movement. There is a new wave of sustainable development at local REITs such as Liberty and Brandywine, property developers, city government, and the Philadelphia Housing Authority. They all demonstrate commitments to LEED, which refers to leadership in energy and environmental design, and other green building standards.
So from an economics standpoint, it made a lot of sense to begin to focus on green building and sustainability.
This appetite for meaningful, comprehensive development, green building standards, and improved quality of life cannot be contained and is shared by many progressive Philadelphians.
I wanted to jump into a labor of love and passion, and this Platinum Corridor was the vision and the commitment, and that's where I can put my efforts and energy into and feel really good about. There was a potential for anywhere from 2 to 4 million square feet of commercial, mixed-use office, apartments, retail, development. And I wanted to make a commitment to build only LEED Platinum, the highest level of sustainability and energy efficiency, but overall sustainability. And really wanted to make a statement about my views and interest in doing this work. It was an area that I saw was emerging, amazing amount of cutting edge research is going on here. I felt like there was this area of West Philly that we're investing in University City was something that I could impact and wanted to impact for many reasons. So Market Street was designed, and if you look historically, was designed for this type of growth and went through various stages in the history, which is really neat when you look back at it and you see it. So I felt like it was just sitting here waiting and had conversations with government leaders and elected officials about this, and just felt that I felt it was more waiting for me to play a part in that. 2.0 was the first building, and our sustainability consultants confirmed that 2.0 was the first double platinum multi-tenanted office building, at least in the US. And we are completing the fit out now for the last tenant. The building was purchased, and this was a big affirmation of the overall plan, and it allows us to move forward with 3.0 and 4.0 and hopefully more.
The impact of these spaces, when they experience these spaces, they want these spaces. They understand it. It's no longer an academic experience, that when you've been in a good, healthy, sustainable building where the air quality is good and where you have direct natural sunlight and a view of the outdoors, that's where you're meant to be, and you know that.
University 2.0 was specifically designed and placed in a part of Philadelphia so that it could serve as a bridge from the communities into the university environment. It could serve as a conduit for jobs for people in the Powhatan Village area, deeper into the city, but ultimately really as a lesson that the bridges have to be about the flow of knowledge, about the flow of people, and about the flow of economies.
The thinking behind University Place reveals the underlying philosophy animating Philadelphia today. These buildings are, well, a lot more than simple buildings. This Platinum Corridor is designed to bring the university community and neighborhood residents to their north and west together along an entire complex of LEED Platinum structures. It's part of an overall strategy to link all the spaces of the city into a workable, livable, playable whole.
While we have new vitality coming into the city, it's really critical that we figure out how to really create new vehicles for social and economic integration in our communities.
And so the ecosystems grow, a fresh, expansive mindset, and people wanting to work together to build something better. In many different neighborhoods, people of goodwill and high hopes bringing a city and its people back to life.
Philadelphia is a community of neighborhoods, and so, as a community developer, our goal was to first mobilize this particular neighborhood and get this neighborhood to ask its politicians and its corporate friends to give their resources towards the improvement of the quality of life right here in Nicetown. I'm a business owner. I started with my family here in Nicetown. We purchased the property, and I had my whole family, Z&Z Distributors, work that particular business endeavor. We began to reach out to the city for assistance with programs such as the store improvement program and various other sources that the city was able to provide through their Philadelphia Commercial Development Court. And we had help through people like our council person and our state representatives. And so together, we were able to educate businesses, neighbors, constituents from house to house, block to block, create a movement, reconnecting the community. So we are doing that with commercial corridor improvement, open space development right in our parks, new housing development. And in our new housing development, we have over 100 new housing stock, rental apartments, rental townhomes, and of course the ultimate, which has become homeowners. And that mobilization that started 15 years ago evolved into what we have right now with all of our partners. We have witnessed over $100 million in commercial development and housing development in this area.
When you talk to people and you say, what are you trying to achieve as a community? They tell you, we want a sense of place. We want a sense of identity and opportunity for everybody who lives here. When people feel comfortable, how do they behave? When people behave a different way, how do they accomplish goals differently? And I think that's the continuum that we're on.
One compelling project is an outgrowth of the activity in Nicetown, the retrofitting of 2 homes to LEED Platinum status by local youth trained in the latest technologies, and installing those technologies in the homes. That's the basis for a wider apprenticeship and job training program founded by a nonprofit called Youth Build. Youth Build finds a natural home in the recent rush to transform a city through the direct application of big ideas, developed and delivered by a wide range of citizens.
It's easy to work with groups like that. Nicetown, everything that they do is in the service of that community. That CDC knows their vision, they understand how the community is evolving. Youth Build has their own mandate and vision to develop the next generation of green builders.
I would say the level of change in thought is remarkable from when I first got engaged about 12 years ago to today, and that is the thought patterns and the way the people we're dealing with think. It's new people, and they're thinking completely differently. The people have rolled over inside the city, and the people who are in charge of these programs that we're working with today, I never would have imagined having these kinds of conversations a dozen years ago with city officials. So that has laid the groundwork for everything else to happen.
If we connect to and align interest, which is cities are uniquely capable of doing these days, that can't happen at the state level very much, and is certainly not happening at the federal level, but aligning those interests towards a common outcome and then driving the policy and investments through that lens is really the road to success.
I think the opportunity we have with the Rebuild Initiative is to bring in some great thinkers, some great thought partners who can help us really reimagine what our spaces can look like, what are the best technologies that we can be using, what are the best materials that we can be using, what are the new design methodologies that are being implemented, not just locally and regionally, but around the world.
Our population is growing. We are having new people come to this city, young people, new Americans from all over the world. People who moved to the suburbs are coming back to live here once again. We're beginning to attract the talent and the entrepreneurial spirit that we didn't have historically. And we're sort of building over time and moving into a new era where big things are now possible.
Here in the city of Philadelphia, we see exactly what positive change and smart development look like, revealed in layer after layer, unique pathways to physical, mental, and social well-being for its citizens. Fascinating projects are blooming all over the city every day in neighborhoods across the map.
And to see what we're investing in, early childhood education, community schools, high-quality infrastructure, transportation systems that are built around equity and accessibility, around health and around sustainability. That kind of big stuff, we need to move the entire community in unison towards that. And we will become one of the great American cities. We will be competitive with any city in this country.
Not so long ago, the great potential of Philadelphia lay dormant just below the surface, waiting for people of goodwill and good faith to nurture that growth across all communities. That time is now. Philadelphia is a city that's evolved, not over decades, but over centuries, 350 years. You can stand in this city and see every era from Independence Hall to the Comcast Tower. You can quite literally see the history of architecture unfold all around you. And you can also see people consciously coming together to create something new, something that 100 years from now, people can look back on and say, that's when they turned the corner. That's when they began to deliver on America's long promise of well-being, of the people, by the people, and for the people.